If you dream of becoming a professional mountain biker someday, then I have some bad news for you. It all starts with a realization that talent is not going to be the thing that gets you there. In a world where there's already so much talent, how are you supposed to win when you aren't the top 0.001% of athletes? You need to diversify your value portfolio by creating content, pursuing your natural talents, and learning persuasive communication skills. Master these 3 skills, and your future self will thank you. There's 2 main contexts that this can be applied to in the mountain bike world. First is through attention that is driven through your talent, aka your natural riding ability. You will attract more attention to yourself and your riding if you can do more impressive things than the other person. But we encounter a little bit of a problem when we start talking about natural abilities in terms of talent. Everybody has a natural talent cap. For some people, the most successful riders in the world, that cap is at the top. They are better than everybody else, or at least as good as the rest of the top 0.001%. For everybody else, even the top 0.1% of riders, it is impossible to quote-unquote make your career purely off of talent. You can get even to the top 100, but you won't get the attention that is going to make you a living unless you are in the top 10. You can see why there is a bit of a problem here. Because I believe in the diversification of success. What I mean by that is you shouldn't have to be born with a certain trait to become successful in anything. It is simply just not the case. Instead, you need to diversify your value and attract attention in other ways, which leads us to number 2. Number 2 is attracting attention via an audience on social media. Now, this doesn't just necessarily mean becoming a content creator. First, we need to deconstruct what that word actually means. A successful content creator is somebody who puts value out into the world, either through entertainment or through information. And this, again, doesn't necessarily just mean on the internet. Any successful writer you can think of is a content creator. Any actor is a content creator through their craft. Even Shakespeare was a content creator. The only thing that changed about what he does versus what modern content creators do is that we primarily use the internet to spread our messages or art. Visual art, art in words, art in persuasion, and art in community. Anybody is capable of becoming a content creator. And the best thing about it is that the only barrier to entry is your desire to learn. Because unlike pure talent, content creation skills can be learned by anybody that has that burning desire for better. Now, this brings me to my next point. You don't need to attach labels to your identity as an athlete. My biggest secret to success is that I became a hybrid athlete. I leaned into my natural abilities, and I also learned how to share that talent with the world by creating content. The same thing goes for content creators. You don't need to chase the views all the time. Lean into your passions and natural talents like storytelling. If you want long-term success, diversify. Become a hybrid athlete. Take a look at this graphic for better understanding. If you are just listening to this, I will do my best to describe it. There are 3 career paths that you can take as a mountain biker. The first 2 are an athlete or a creator. These are the traditional career paths, and as you can see on the y-axis, the success potential, both of these career paths by themselves have a tendency to cap out lower than that of the 3rd career path. So by that illustration, it becomes obvious that the 3rd career path of becoming a hybrid athlete and content creator is the best, because when you stack both of them together, you get a higher success potential because you learn and master more skills along your journey towards that mastery. Now quickly, I want to redefine what it actually means to be an athlete. This is just for articulation purposes. Don't take it as literal meaning. An athlete is somebody who leans into their natural talent. This can either be through literal ability, like being really good at riding mountain bikes, but it can also be things like creativity, if you want to become a video editor, or storytelling if you want to become a writer. Both of these are talent, and although they can be developed, they are skills that more or less you're born with. On the other side of things, the creator, you see skills that can be developed a lot easier. Content creation, which we will get into in a bit. Building investment through certain actions, and being able to communicate effectively, which again is somewhat innate, but can definitely be developed a lot easier than those other skills. Becoming a hybrid athlete means combining all of these together to create the highest value of yourself that you possibly can. To further articulate this, I have this quote. Most people attract attention through either their natural talent or by creating content. Since there are millions of others out there doing the exact same thing, either one of these career paths by itself won't lead you towards your goals. It is only when you stack them together that you'll achieve extremely remarkable results. In other words, you'll bring more value to the table and you'll get more in return. Sponsorships, money, fame, it is all the same. Study any of the top athletes in the world and you'll see them doing just that. Why aren't you? Now I have a quick thought experiment for you. Think of any of the top World Cup athletes in the world, for example. This would work on any different sub-niche of mountain biking. Think about their digital presence. Are they just pure talent that exists in a little nook in a cave off in the bush in the middle of nowhere? No, they have an extremely high digital presence. They're bringing value to their sponsors in both their extremely high talent and also by creating a huge fan base around that talent. And they wouldn't be where they are today if they didn't have that additional attention that comes with social media. Now, the 3 skills that will change your life. Number 1 is your natural talent. The first step towards your dreams is to double down on your natural talent. This can be jumps, speed, editing, storytelling, etc. Anything that won't present an immediate learning curve. Become a high-performance athlete in whatever that is. Remember, we redefined what an athlete is. You don't have to box that in to just being a high-ability rider. This can be anything that you have a natural talent in. You want to become a professional in that quote-unquote sport and master it before you move on to the next step. Focus 90% of your attention here until you feel the progress curve start to drop off. When you first start pursuing your life's goals, you will have an incredibly productive period that usually lasts between 6 months to 2 years. At some point in this journey, your motivation is going to drop off and you're going to feel like you're making a lot less progress than you were before. If this lasts longer than roughly 2 weeks, it is a good indicator that you're approaching that cap in that natural talent. You had exponential progress when you started to lean into it hard, and now you're starting to get towards the top of what you're capable of. To avoid chasing our tails in the endless cycle like so many other people do, this is when you want to move on to learning skill number 2. The remaining 10% of your focus should be dedicated to learning the absolute basics of copywriting, speaking, video creation, which includes filmmaking, editing, workflows, broad marketing, and broad sales. This creates a fantastic foundation for when you do move on to skill number 2. If you learn the basics of one of these skills and you understand the key concepts of it, move on to the next one. Don't try to learn all of these at once. Take a very basic course. Watch 2 or 3 hours of YouTube videos on it. You just want to understand the basics so you don't get overwhelmed when we get into the depths of what lies ahead. Skill number 2. Mountain biking is a business. You need to understand this. You also need to understand that if you want sponsors, you must bring value to the table. Value in the form of attention. Remember, sponsorships are an exchange of value. They are not just free stuff. To earn sponsorships, you need to master the skill of content creation. Learn copywriting, camera setup, editing, attention-based psychology, social media algorithm optimization, content planning, call to actions, and attention funnels. I know that is a lot of big fancy words, and I'm going to be doing individual articles and YouTube videos in the future to explain all of these sub-skills in more context and in more detail. So make sure you subscribe to see those when they come, and if you want to shortcut the time it takes to understand all these huge concepts, click the top link in the description where you can apply for my Modern Mountain Bike Mentorship Program, where I will personally walk you through one-on-one all of the skills that I've learned from my own personal success, as well as giving you you the definitions and the rundown of all of these things that you need to learn. Content creation is the most valuable skill in modern society. Even if you end up moving away from mountain bike, the skills you develop will stay with you forever and can be utilized in any number of niches and industries. The third and final skill, and arguably the most important of them all, is persuasive communication. Imagine you've built a massive personal brand by mastering the skill of content creation. What are you supposed to do with that brand? You can either sell your own thing or sell other people's things, business or sponsorship. Both require one thing: the ability to persuade people. In business, you have one goal: get people to buy your stuff. With sponsorships, you have two goals: convince the sponsor to work with you, then make the sponsor money. In both instances, you need to convince somebody to do something that they otherwise wouldn't do if they didn't know that you existed. This is broadly the concept of marketing in its entirety, but for the sake of illustrative purposes, I like to call this persuasive communication. Learn speaking, email copywriting, promotional copywriting, campaign management, personal sales, promotional sales, broad marketing skills, and time management. If you need a list of all these skills that I've listed off in the past couple of minutes, go down to the bottom of the description and you can take a screenshot of them there. These sub-skills are very similar to that of content creation. The only difference is that instead of convincing people to spend their attention on you, like you do when you're creating content and trying to get people to watch your videos, you're convincing them to spend their money, and in the case of sponsors, their resources on you. So in the end, if you really boil it down, you're always trying to convince somebody to do something, whether you're trying to sell a product using persuasive communication skills, or whether you're simply just trying to get a viral video and trying to convince people to give you their attention, and tons of attention at that if you're trying to get a viral video. It all boils down to persuasion. And again, if you master the skill, the super broad skill of persuasion, you are set for life in anything. It may sound sinister, but it's a necessary skill for anybody who wants to become successful. And it is a skill that everybody has who is successful, unless it was just dumb luck, in which case that is not sustainable. So that is it for this week. There is a lot of information in between the lines in terms of what those skills actually are and what they entail. Next week, I'm going to be breaking down all of those in detail. It's going to be a lot more informational oriented video rather than philosophy. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, if you are a mountain biker who likes to record things on GoPro and is tired of the GoPro effect, wind noise, and any number of things that you can encounter with a GoPro, be sure to click the link in the description that will direct you to the ultimate GoPro MTB manual, where I reveal all of my secrets that I've learned over the 2 years of building my personal brand using GoPros. Also, if you are a high performance athlete who wants to apply for the Modern Mountain Bike sponsorship, there is a free application down in the description. It'll be the top link. Check it out. I will see you guys next week. Peace.